Okay, folks, I wanted to talk about the corn, and what I have over here is this. It's a banyan corn. It's like a dwarf corn. It's called golden banyan, and you can see it's not near as tall as the other. And what I did was the other corn was started in September, and this was started a couple months past that. And what you want to try to do is, if you have, especially heirloom corn, you don't want them mixing. And the tassels on these are these little teeny hairs that come out of the corn. The pollen falls down, and some people I've seen will take and they'll hand try to pollinate these. But if you do a block of corn like this and the wind blows, you have better pollination of the tassels. I don't know if you can see this here, but these are the tassels that are on the corn. I'm barely touching this plant, and I can see drifting off the pollen. Well, each one of these tassels, each one of these hairs here that come on the corn, I'm going to get a close-up shot, needs to be pollinated. Each one of these is a kernel of corn. And a couple years ago, I put a couple rows, and the wind blows, they all blow away from it, and half the ear wasn't pollinated, and at the base, or there might be some spots that had a kernel or two here or there, but a lot of the corn wasn't pollinated. The other batch that I did, going on over 3 months ago now, I take my thumb and open it up, full set of kernels. And what we're going to do is we're going to let those basically die on the stalk and use them for seed. We'll eat a few ears just for the heck of it, but the majority of it's for seed crop. And I did want to make the point is what you want to do if you're doing two different varieties of corn, you definitely want to separate them a good distance apart so they don't cross-pollinate, because these pollen could literally drift 100 yards, 200 yards over and pollinate those other variety. But being the fact that I separate them by a couple months, the tassels on the other corn are the majority, 99% of them are all dried up. So they're not viable, they're not ready to receive the pollen, so we're not going to have any risk of cross-pollination of two different varieties of corn. So this is the corn, it's looking good. And make another note on the corn, what you do with this, we'll come back and talk more about the corn, but you just want to try to keep the suckers off. Any of these small little suckers here, you want to keep those from growing, so most of the energy goes to producing the main stalks. And I started these in the trays, and I put 2 or 3 seeds in the trays. And the next time I go to plant corn next year, I probably won't start them in the cups, but I had a limited amount of seeds, and I wanted to make sure they got a good healthy start. So this is the banyan corn, and on the other side of the corn over here, we have some potatoes, and we'll go take a look at those real quick, and that'll pretty much wrap up the tour of the garden. And what we're going to do after this is we're going to talk about preparing the soil from scratch. So let's take a look at those potatoes real quick.